players acknowledge the Gadigal people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which the Pavilion Theatre is built. Please enjoy the show.
Look, baby, it's light. No candle, no rusty tool to snuff it out, but light, pure light, straight from a man's imagination into our living room. On, off, on, off. Hello?
Sorry. Hello, darling.
We'll find you a nice nurse, won't we? A nice wet nurse with lots of healthy milk. Bob put an advertisement in the paper. We should get lots of replies today. Oh, my milk isn't filling you up, is it? Are you less fat today, darling? Are your cheeks less fat? I'll find you a nurse who hasn't a child of her own. Not that I hope to find a nurse with a dead baby, for that would be tragic. Oh, there is nothing more tragic. It hurts me here to think of it. You there in your pram not moving? Whew. But I suppose if I am to find a childless nurse with milk to spare, then her baby must be dead, and recently dead. Oh, I don't like to think of that.
I have a new patient that might ring the doorbell any minute. If she arrives, could you please let Annie answer the door? Her nerves are terribly raw, and it might throw off the entire clinical balance for her to meet you and the baby. Please hide! Annie!
Hello, you must be Mr. and Mrs. Daldry. Please come in. This way, let me show you to the operating theater. Well, let's just call it the next room for now, shall we? Don't be nervous. Shall I put your hat here?
Oh, she's very sensitive to light.
Of course. Right this way.
So nice to meet you, Mrs. Daldry, Mr. Daldry. Can I take your coat?
She's very sensitive to cold.
I see. Well, have a seat. Sensitive to light, sensitive to cold.
Oh, is there a baby here? I didn't know there was a new baby here. How wonderful for you.
Yes. Could you shut the door, please, Annie? What other symptoms is your wife suffering from?
I find her weeping at odd moments during the day, muttering about the green curtains or some such nonsense.
Is it nonsense, Mrs. Daldry?
I suppose it is. The green curtains give me a terrible headache. The color. Old ghosts in the dark.
Tell me more about these curtains, will you?
My mother would wash the curtains every week in the house that I grew up, and she would beat them with a stick, and there were no ghosts in them. Oh, there was a beautiful view of a grape arbor, and when the curtains were clean, you could see right through them to the grapes. You could almost watch them growing. So plump in the autumn. My mother would make loads of jam. My mother was not a nervous or excitable woman. It was jam. It was laughing. It was long walks out of doors. We have a grape arbor here. Oh, I'm full of digressions these days, Dr. Gibbons, but the point is, I haven't the strength to wash the curtains and beat the ghosts out of them every week. You think I'm talking like a madwoman, but if you could see those curtains, you'd see I'm rather very logical. They're horrible.
And you have tried the usual remedies, rest, relaxation?
Yes.
Nothing like rest.
When I met Mrs. Daldry, she was 17. She was an extraordinary creature. She played the piano. We ate grape jam in the arbor, and it was there that I told her that I wanted to take care of her and protect her, didn't I?
Yes.
These days, I'm afraid there is very little sympathy between us.
I am breaking his heart, you see. He likes me to be a certain way. Perhaps if I could play the piano again, but my fingers will not work.
No, her fingers do not work. In the living room, Or in any other room, if you take my meaning, Dr. Gibbings. Mr. Dawson.
Please do not embarrass me with such vulgarities. I am shocked and disgusted and will leave the room immediately.
Mr. Daldry, your wife is suffering from hysteria. It is a very clear case. I recommend therapeutic electrical massage. Weekly, perhaps daily, we shall see sessions. We need to relieve the pressure of her nerves. You will soon have your blooming wife back. She will regain her color. Light and cold will no longer have the same effect on her. You will soon be eating grape jam and wondering how it is that Mrs. Daldry looks so much like a 17-year-old.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. You have no idea what a source of anguish my wife's illness has been to me. And to her, of course.
Of course. I'll have it back for you in an hour's time.
Thank you, Doctor.
This lamp is extraordinary. It hurts my eyes to watch it turn on and off, but I enjoy the pain. It's a kind of religious ecstasy to feel half blind, do you not think?
Yes, isn't it? I was not supposed to meet with you, but I'm glad I have. I hope you find my husband to be of comfort. I know I do.
May I hold your baby?
Of course.
I would ask that you leave Mrs. Daldry here while you take a walk around the grounds. Perhaps it's best that you don't disturb her now, Mr. Daldry.
Of course, Doctor. Whatever you think is best.
What's the baby's name?
Letitia. Lottie for short. 3 syllables seem like too many for a baby.
Lottie.
The doctor is ready for you now.
Oh, no. Must I go back in there? I would much rather hold the baby.
Oh, be a good girl.
No. She's beautiful.
Isn't she? Too skinny, though.
Sabrina, the doctor is waiting.
You'll be just fine. My husband is a good doctor, so I've been told. Will you excuse me? It's time for her nap.
Now then, Mrs. Daldry, I would ask that you remove your clothing, but you may keep your underthings on. And you will place a sheet over your lower regions. We shall respect your modesty in every particular. I shall give you privacy.
Hello again.
Oh, hello. They are trying to get rid of me. I'm supposed to take a walk around the grounds.
Well, is it not raining, Mr.
Daldry. I don't know.
Your name?
No, if it is raining.
Well, you'll have to gamble on whether or not to take an umbrella.
Indeed.
There are 3 kinds of people. Those who use umbrellas when it is not raining, those who do not use umbrellas even when it is raining, and those who use umbrellas only and precisely when it rains. Which are you, Mr. Daldry?
I use an umbrella when it rains.
Oh, well, that's too bad. I find people who do not use umbrellas horribly romantic, strolling, striding through the rain with wet hair, looking at a raindrop on a branch.
Oh, yes, my wife is one of those.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
It's damned annoying. I'm always worried she'll catch a cold.
Oh, but it's horribly romantic, isn't it? My husband opens his umbrella at the merest hint of rain, and even when it is not raining, he leaves it open, stubborn as an ox, and keeps walking. My husband is a scientist.
And what kind of person are you, Mrs. Gibbings?
Why, I don't know. My husband has always held the umbrella. Isn't that funny? I have no idea what kind of person I am. I shall show you the grounds. And we shall use this very large umbrella, and perhaps I shall hold it, and we shall see what kind of person I am. I only hope you do not get wet.
It sounds like a madcap adventure.
Are you ready for me?
Yes, Dr. Gibbings.
Are you quite warm enough?
Oh.
Mrs. Daldry, we are going to produce in you what is called a paroxysm. The congestion in your womb is causing your hysterical symptoms. Then if we can release some of that congestion and invite the juices downward, your health will be restored. Thanks to the dawn of electricity, yes, thank you, Mr. Edison. I always tip my hat to Mr. Edison, a great American. I have a new instrument I will use. Now, it used to be that it would take me, or it would take Annie, hours to produce a paroxysm in our patients. And it demanded quite a bit of skill and patience. Much like the child's game, trying to pat the head and rub the stomach at the same time. But now, thanks to this new electrical instrument, we shall be done in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, I'm afraid I don't have
3 minutes.
Okay.
Sometimes 5 at the outer limits. Are you ready, Mrs. Daldry?
Whoa. I am
Well, don't be frightened.
There is no danger of being electrocuted?
None at all. I shall tell you an amusing story. Dr. Benjamin Franklin once decided to electrocute a bird for his turkey dinner on Christmas Eve. But by mistake, he held onto the chain, completing the circuit, and he couldn't let go. He described violently convulsing until he was able, by sheer force of will, to let go of the chain. And he was perfectly fine. Is that too much pressure?
A little. Oh.
It's all right, Mrs. Daldry. This will just take a matter of minutes.
Oh.
It's all right, Mrs. Daldry. Let it all out. And you will hold your hand.
What is happening?
That was very good, Mrs. Daldry. Is not this new instrument wonderful? Thank goodness for Benjamin Franklin and his electrical key. Did you know they electrocuted an elephant in Coney Island last week? Marvelous. Well, Annie will help you get dressed and you may meet Mr. Daldry out on the grounds.
All right, and perhaps I may hold your baby again before I leave.
Oh, I did not realize you had met the baby. I hope that wasn't distracting in the middle of our session.
No, I liked holding her. We haven't been able to have children of our own, so
Oh, they're there.
do not know what is wrong with me.
Oh, dear Mrs. Daldry, take heart. You see, Annie, it is the pent-up emotion in the womb which is causing her hysterical symptoms. You can see it quite clearly. I shall administer another round of therapy to the patient. Just lie back down, Mrs.
Oh,
Daldry.
no, please do not touch me there again. It was rather, painful, and I'd much rather, you
Tell me what you're feeling, Mrs. Daldry.
My feet are, very hot. Dancing on hot coals, and down there is cold and hot to the touch. My heart is racing.
It's all right, Mrs. Daldry. There. You just lie there and stay quiet for a while. I am going to go wash my hands.
Can you please hand me my hat?
Of course. You know, there's no reason to be embarrassed. This instrument has quite the same effect on all of our patients. Sometimes they laugh and weep all at the same time. They often call for God. It is quite all right, Mrs. Daldry.
I feel, drowsy.
Yes, many of our patients report feeling drowsy after treatment.
Might I lie down again?
Please do.
You are a midwife,
Yes,
so you have assisted Dr. Givings with personal manner of things.
yes.
How did you come to be a midwife?
I was 33 and unmarried and hadn't the patience for teaching young children.
So you have seen all forms of torture?
I have seen women in a great deal of pain, yes.
Hold my hand and I will fall asleep.
Of course.
Oh, I must be a very inconsistent person. I like to be wet, and then I like to be dry, and then I like to be wet again.
You are very healthy and robust. I can barely keep up with you.
I love to walk. I never had enough exercise as a child, so now I love to walk. Then no one can keep up with me. Not even Dr. Givings. That is how he fell in love with me. He was determined to keep up with me. He only saw the back of my head before we got married because I was always one step ahead. He said he had to marry me in order to see my face. Isn't that right, darling?
What's that?
Had to marry me in order to see my face.
I see you have met my wife.
Indeed.
We had a very successful session. You should find Mrs. Daldry much relaxed.
Oh, excellent.
I gave Mr. Daldry a tour of the grounds. We got wet.
Oh, I don't want you catching cold. The baby mustn't catch cold at this age.
You know I'm as healthy as an ox. If only more of my milk would come in. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Daldry. That is not polite to mention in mixed company.
Are you advertising for a nurse?
Indeed we are.
Our housekeeper recently lost her baby, and I believe she has plentiful milk. Perhaps she could help, though we don't want to lose her services. Very upstanding and all that. Very hard to find. A gem. Self-educated, you see, with the manners of a lady. Of course, I don't know if she's got it into her head to be a wet nurse. Well, you know what they say about wet nurses. 9 parts devil, 1 part cow. But that's what you want, isn't it? A young woman who had no intention of being a wet nurse, but who has milk. Milk to spare.
Oh, well, she sounds marvelous. I mean, we desperately want someone who's very moral, whose child is recently dead.
What she
I
means
meant
to say is
that morality goes right through the milk. Well, Mrs. Evans said so just the other day.
Our housekeeper, Elizabeth, is very moral, very Christian. She goes to church every week with Mrs. Daldry, who is a very devout woman.
I see.
Has she recovered from the death of her child?
Well, like I said, she's a young woman resigned to the will of God, but I believe her milk is still plentiful.
Oh, darling, I don't...
Is she married?
Yes. Oh, you don't want an unmarried woman boarding in your house. They'll turn the household upside down. All the pretty ones, anyway. Well, what I mean to say is she's married a fine man with a steady job.
We will be happy to take on your housekeeper, Elizabeth, as a wet nurse, and we can pay handsomely, but not so handsomely that she leaves your service. We really are in dire straits because my wife's milk is not adequate, I'm afraid. Bottle-fed babies don't do well in cholera season. They don't do well at all. It's no time to stand on prejudice, Catherine.
My husband is a very unconventional man, a scientist. I have no idea what the neighbors will say.
Let them observe that your baby is growing nice and fat.
Oh, how well rested you look.
I feel wonderful. Your husband is a good doctor.
Yes, he is.
There are roses in your cheeks.
Is the light bothering you, Mrs. Daldry?
No, I hardly even noticed it. Ugh, I was horrified when the electric lamp was invented. I so do prefer candlelight, and I thought, without the help of candlelight in the evenings, people's faces would look like monsters. No flicker, no glow. Oh, but none of you look like monsters at present. No, you all look rather very charming. You are wet, Mr. Daldry.
Well, it is raining, Mrs. Daldry. Shall we? Might we borrow an umbrella? I didn't anticipate rain.
To be sure, I always keep an extra umbrella in case of emergencies.
Thank you, Dr. Gibbings. I will see you again soon, I hope.
Tomorrow, I think, is best. We will need daily
Oh,
sessions.
fine. Oh, how much do I owe you, Doctor?
Not to worry, we'll settle up weekly.
Fine, fine. Well, we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll bring our housekeeper, Elizabeth, with us.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day. I am very nervous about bringing a stranger into the house. Very nervous indeed.
Lottie is losing weight, my dear.
Oh, yes, and it is all my fault.
I am not assigning blame, my darling.
Then whose fault is it?
No one's. The body is blameless. Milk is without intention.
But every good mother has a fat child, and everyone knows that.
Then it will be a relief to find her a good nurse.
Indeed, I cannot wait to meet her.
Cheer up, my love. We are healthy and we are happy, are we not?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Examine you to be sure your milk is healthy.
Yes, sir.
I also need to be sure you haven't any venereal disease that could be passed through the milk to the child. If you could just lie back, please.
Sir, I'd rather not.
I'm a man of science, Elizabeth. Believe me, I won't be shocked.
Yes, sir. Sir,
You won't touch me there, will you?
I'm going to give you a medical exam, that's all.
Hello. Hello.
I was walking the grounds dead lovely.
Why, you look in the bloom of health.
I played the piano again.
What did you play?
I like to make songs up.
Oh, will you play something for me? Please, oh please.
Oh, I am very shy.
Oh, there is no need to be shy around me, Mrs. Daldry. I have the most wonderful effect upon shy people. I start talking and they think, oh, why be shy?
I didn't mean I was shy around you, Mrs. Gibbings.
I knew it. Oh, I am terrible at the piano. I just pick at it with 1 or 2 fingers. You must play. The poor thing's hardly been played. It's languishing without the human touch. It's like a piece of dead wood without being played.
How can I say no?
Thank you, Elizabeth. You were very brave, and you were very healthy. You can get dressed now.
Well, that's beautiful. A bit sad, isn't it? Do you think they take sad things and put them into songs in order to hold on to the sadness or to banish it? I think it is to banish the sadness. So then if you write a happy song, is it not sadder than a sad song? Because by writing it, you have to banish your own happiness into a song. What do you think?
I don't know.
Oh. Well, does it have words?
No.
Oh, it must, Mrs. Daldry. It must have words. Play it again, and I shall sing some words with it.
All right.
You raise the blinds in the morning. I like to close them at night. Together we sleep near the birdhouse and forget the electrical light.
That was very nice.
Did you like it? Did it go with your song? Oh, I hope you liked it. I hope the song liked the words because the words loved the song.
The song liked the words.
Oh,
Mrs. Gibbings,
hello, darling.
I've examined Elizabeth, and she's very fit and healthy and will be a wonderful nurse to Letitia.
Oh, that's marvelous. I'm sorry to hear about your own child, Elizabeth. That's dreadful.
Thank you.
What was your child's name? Or did she have a name yet? I don't know what is worse, frankly, a name or no name yet. Oh, when death comes up, I just ramble on and on. I'll stop now.
His name was Henry Douglas.
A boy.
Yes,
Have you buried him yet?
he's buried at the churchyard, All Souls. He was baptized before he died, and for that I am grateful.
Oh, well, baptism at least is a comfort. He is in heaven now.
I don't like to talk about Henry Douglas, ma'am.
No, of course you wouldn't. Forgive me.
Elizabeth has 2 other boys, 2 very lovely, well-behaved boys.
Oh, what a relief. We hope to have extra children just in case. Well, that is to say, more children. I'd love to have a whole big brood all climbing over the furniture, for the furniture is so dead. That is to say, so lifeless, so sad without children.
I don't have any children.
Oh, what a pity.
Elizabeth, would you like to meet the baby?
Yes, sir.
Catherine, please bring the baby into Elizabeth. Mrs. Daldry, why don't you come with me?
Yes, doctor.
Did that upset you to talk about children?
A little.
Are you feeling nervous?
My heart is pounding and I feel quite weak.
Oh, well, you just lie down. Just lie down and I will administer treatment.
Where is Annie today?
She should be arriving momentarily.
I do not wish to undress in front of you.
Oh, yes, of course. I will go make some notes. Call out when you're ready for me.
Here she is.
Would you like me to feed her now, ma'am?
Oh, yes. I suppose she is hungry.
Perhaps it would be better if I fed her in the nursery.
Yes, I think so.
Excuse me.
Of course. Just through there. Oh.
Excuse me, darling. Oh. Hey, what's the matter?
Well, Lottie took to Elizabeth right away. She latched right onto her breast, and it made me feel very strange to see her latched onto another woman's breast. For once, it wasn't the baby crying. I feel very queer, I do.
Well, now you have to think of the baby and what's best for the baby. She would starve without milk, so think about that and try to be practical.
I don't feel well.
I'm ready, Dr. Gibbons.
I have to attend to Mrs. Daldry. Why don't you have a nice lie down? Here, I'll shut off the lamp.
I don't want to lie down. I want to feed my own child.
But you can't, my love. Your milk isn't adequate. Love you. Sorry about the delay.
Not at all.
Fine weather we're having. Chilly but bright.
Indeed.
There we are. This will only take but a few minutes, Mrs. Daldry.
Oh?
There, tell me what you're feeling.
It's not working. Today it's not working.
There.
I don't know. Nope, nothing.
Oh dear.
Did I make it stop?
Not your fault. Electrical failure. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Annie. We've had a power failure.
Oh, my head.
Oh, dear Mrs. Daldry, are you ill?
I've been trying these past 3 minutes. It's never taken longer than 3 minutes with this machine.
Should I try the manual treatment, Dr. Gibbons?
Yes. Why don't you? I will go look into this. Good day, Mrs. Daldry. Annie.
What you do? What is the manual treatment?
You just lie back.
Oh. 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 Joe, everything is quite wet. I do not know what is happening. Oh, how embarrassing.
That happens from time to time, Mrs. Daldry. I'll change the sheets. You know, Aristotle talked all about it.
Aristotle,
Yes.
do you read Greek?
Yes.
Ooh. My goodness.
I'm going to go wash my hands.
Of course.
Do you need me this evening, Mrs. Gibbons?
Oh, perhaps after supper?
All right.
Elizabeth, when the milk comes in, do you feel love for the child?
I try not to think of love. I try not to think of Henry Douglas.
Of course. Do you want more children, Elizabeth? That is a tactless question. You do not have to answer. Sometimes I just say whatever is in my head. I want more children. And my husband desperately wants more children. But I am afraid of another birth. Aren't you? When I gave birth, I remember so clearly the moment her head was coming out of my body. I thought, why would any rational creature do this twice? Knowing what I know now, and then she came out and she clambered right onto my breast and tried to eat me. She was so hungry it terrified me, her hunger. And then I thought, is this her first emotion? Hunger? And not hunger for food, wanting to eat other people, specifically one's mother. And then I thought, isn't it strange? Isn't it strange about Jesus? That is to say, Jesus being a man. For it is women who give up their bodies, who turn their bodies into food. I gave up my blood, and there was so much blood, and I gave up my body, and yet I couldn't feed her. She was so hungry. I guess that makes me an inferior kind of woman. Or an even more inferior kind of Jesus. Oh, they said you were religious. That must have
I
sounded...
was very religious.
Oh, I am sorry. I was just
I
trying-
thought of Jesus while I was giving birth, like you. But I wasn't thinking about why was he a man. I was thinking, please save me, Jesus. And he did. Now why he couldn't save my Henry, I don't know. So I stopped believing in him.
Oh. Ah, the electricity is back on. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Why? You look refreshed.
Do I?
Will you play something on the piano for us? I'm sure Elizabeth would love to hear you play.
I have to get back to my boys for supper.
And stay for just one song.
All right, oh.
What a pretty song, Mrs. Daldry.
Thank you, Annie.
I must go.
And I.
I am walking in your direction.
Well, goodbye then. Everybody gets a good walk except for me. Do come back tomorrow. I'll be very dull. Elizabeth.
Do you pay me now or later?
Oh, I haven't any money. I will have to speak with my husband. Perhaps we could settle up weekly.
That's fine. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The power is back on! One day, whole cities will be electrified. Mr. Edison's the man to do it.
Don't talk to me about electricity. You know how it bores me. Everyone is gone. And we are all alone.
Indeed we are.
I shall turn this off.
Shall we go upstairs?
Or we could stay here.
In the living room?
Well, I suppose it is for living in.
I'll get it. Mrs. Daldry,
I forgot my hat.
you look flushed. Are you all right?
Perhaps it is from the walk over. I'm not used to walking so much in one day, and Annie and I were walking rather quickly whilst discussing, well, she knows Greek. Can you imagine? Good. I feel faint.
Oh, there, Mrs. Daldry. Why don't you come see me in the operating theater? The electricity is back on.
Perhaps I'm intruding on your domestic life.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Right this way. Mrs. Giddings, why don't you go to the nursery?
Yes, dear.
No need to undress all the way as you're not feeling well. Just lie down gently. Are you still feeling faint?
A little.
Are you often subject to faintness?
No more than once a week, I dare say.
I see. We'll set you to rights, don't worry. Are you ready?
Oh. No.
Tell me what you're feeling.
I don't want a machine.
Any fluid, Mrs. Daldry?
No, nothing.
I shall try using a finger as well as the instrument to replicate Annie's experiment.
Oh.
Lobular massage has been discounted in many circles, but occasionally, with the proper diagnosis and method, it is just the thing. It's all right, Mrs. Daldry. Let it all out.
Oh, Annie!
Excuse me?
Please leave me. I feel much relieved.
I shall wash up and let you get sorted. Take your time. Excuse me. What is it? The baby?
What is that sound? What are you doing?
Electrical therapy, my dear. Very successful session.
I wish to see it.
You would not understand. Leave me my dry, boring science, and I will give you the rest of the world. You said yourself that my electricity bored you.
I insist on seeing your machine now.
You're going to force me to lock my laboratory.
I am your wife.
And happily you are my blooming young wife without a hint of neurosis and in no need of my inventions or experiments.
Experiment on me.
I can assure you, you would not like it.
Experiment on me.
It would be unseemly for a man of science to experiment on his own wife. I would lose my credibility. Now, would you have the good grace to be quiet while Mrs. Daldry is in the next room?
Do not let me forget my hat again.
It is right here.
Thank you, Dr. Giddings.
Not at all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I am going to the club. Mr. Edison's man is electrocuting dogs this evening. He is out to prove the deadliness of the alternating current over and above direct current. Now, I think it's hogwash. You see, with alternating current, the current flips back and forth, back and... You see how much this bores you.
Yes, it is very boring. Goodbye. Do not kiss me goodbye, please.
Very well.
Oh.
I forgot my gloves. I'm so sorry. What must you think of me?
I am very glad you have returned. My husband has gone to the club and I am bored out of my mind.
I think my gloves are in the other room.
It is locked.
Oh. I shall come back tomorrow for my gloves.
Oh no, please stay. I have developed the most insatiable curiosity about my husband's operating theater and perhaps you can tell me how it works.
No. I don't know how it works, so.
He plugs it in, he turns it on, and then...
And then he applies electrical current to my body to release the magnetic fluid. That is what he says, because of the excess fluid in my womb causing my hysterical symptoms, so.
Fluid?
Yes, really, I must go now, so.
Oh, but you sounded like this. Oh! Oh! Oh!
You were listening?
It was very loud.
Oh dear. I shall leave you now, so.
Have some tea. Where does my husband place the electrical device?
Just, here.
And does it give you a painful or pleasurable sensation?
Pleasure and pain, all at once. Electrical current runs through my entire body. I see unaccountable patterns of light. I feel a kind of white-hot coal under my feet. And my entire body shudders as though struck by a terrible lightning. And then a darkness descends and I want to fall asleep.
Well, that's the strangest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, let's talk of other things. They electrocuted an elephant at Coney Island, so.
So I heard.
Ooh, it is getting dark.
I shall turn the lamp on.
Please don't. Can you imagine a time when all will be electric? All will be plugged in. Why, it will not stop with lights, but the way we cook our eggs, the way we get our chickens to lay their eggs. Mr. Edison invented a recording device that he says will change everything. It will record the last wishes of the dying. Can you imagine? A man may know the voice of his great-great-grandfather, may know his last wishes. And what will become of the human body? Electrical arms, perhaps? Even the fireflies will become electric.
Oh, electrical fireflies? Electrical pianos.
God forbid.
Oh, to think of never carrying a candle again. Not to walk down the hallway at night, carrying a candle, afraid of tripping over and starting a fire. Makes one most solemn, do you not think? To blow out a candle with one's own breath. How beautiful. Do you think our children's children will be less solemn? One flick of the finger and all will be lit. One flick of the finger and all will be dark. On, off. We'll be able to change our minds a dozen times a second. On, off. We'll be like gods.
I'm afraid so.
Have you a hat pin?
Yes.
I shall retrieve your gloves. Is this it?
Yes.
How extraordinary! It looks like a farming tool. Where does he put it?
Just here.
Oh, and where is the switch?
I have no idea.
What a sound!
I will hold it in place for you.
Well, I don't see what all the fuss is about.
Sometimes I close my eyes.
What a dreadfully, awfully strange feeling. I understand why my husband has been keeping it from me.
Yes.
Would you like to go?
No. Oh, only the doctor can administer the treatment, so.
I don't see why. It seems quite simple. All one has to know what to do in this day and age is push a button or flick a switch.
All right, well, wait. Is that not your husband's carriage?
I can't hear a thing.
I hear horses' hooves.
You're imagining things. My husband will be not home from the club until at least 7 o'clock.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes. Once he starts talking about electricity, he does not stop.
Well, then,
Are you ready?
I think so.
Here we go!
And then she left, very abruptly, for Italy.
I see.
It was a terrible shock. I've been studying in Florence for the past year. They're exacting masters over there. The line must be just so, the proportions, just so there's no freedom. You sharpen your pencil with the knife as Leonardo sharpened his pencil. That was heaven. Not to have freedom, no freedom in art, but in life. Life. The peaches there tasted like peaches, the rain like rain. I met the woman in question in Florence, and she was beautiful. I know, no one ever said I fell in love with a woman in Italy, an ugly woman, but she was beautiful. Perhaps not classically, but never mind. We met at the Uffizi. She was staring at the sculptures with no embarrassment at all, and I painted her face all summer. Oh, and she kissed with her whole body. Not like American women only kiss with their lips. You're perhaps shocked, Doctor, that I kissed her before marriage? I'm a devotee of nature, and I wish to avoid the fate of my boyhood friend. On his wedding night, he was repulsed by his wife's body. He said when she disrobed for the first time, he saw something monstrous. What, I asked. She had body hair, he said. Down there, like a beast. You see, you'd only seen the female form in marble statues, no body hair. Well, you're a scientist, this must amuse you.
What men do not observe because their intellect prevents them from seeing would fill many books.
Indeed.
What happened to your friend?
Oh, he's now a very famous art critic. His marriage went unconsummated for 3 years and was then annulled. I did not wish such a fate for myself, so our lips were willing, free and soft. I kissed them. Oh, yes, I kissed them. She did not come from a good family, and her English wasn't very good, but I didn't care. Her soul leapt out of her eyes when I painted her. I felt I could paint souls. Her soul hovered just here, and I could see it. So when I painted 2 inches away from the eyes, not the eyes themselves. It was a revelation. I digress. She journeyed with me to England to meet my parents, to announce the engagement, and the following morning, she fled back to Italy. No word, no letters, no answer to my inquiries, nothing. And my whole body revolted against me. A headache, a weakness, eyesight, nausea.
And this weakness persisted for what?
9 months.
In your extremities?
Yes, but the weakness in my eyes is perhaps the worst because of my inability to paint.
So you haven't painted for 9 months?
You can't paint in the dark.
It is very rare, a case of hysteria in a man, but of course we do see it.
Is it treatable?
I believe it is. I'd like you to undress to your underthings and lie down on the table. Annie, my assistant, will be in shortly.
I didn't know there'd be a lady in attendance.
She's the soul of tact and reserve.
Was she a good eater?
An angel.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I think babies are angels when they drink only milk that first year. They can fly right back to where they came from, to the milk in the clouds. When they get teeth, it is the beginning of the end. They become animals and there is no going back.
Yes.
But this one's still an angel. No teeth.
Well, that'll be all. Thank you, Elizabeth.
I'll just get my things.
No smiling? He was smiling for Elizabeth. You raise the blinds in the morning. I like to close them at night.
This, Leo, is what I call the Chattanooga vibrator. My own invention. It slips into the anal cavity. Just face that direction and curl up a bit, hugging your knees into your chest. And it will just operate the foot pedal, which controls the speed. It functions much like a sewing machine.
Indeed.
We're going to stimulate the prostate gland. Are you ready?
I think so. Oh. Oh!
Excellent. I think we can stop now for the day. How are you feeling? Would you like a cup of tea?
Oh, I love a cup of tea.
Hello, darling. How was work?
New patient. Interesting case, very rare.
A man.
How did you know?
I heard a man's voice.
I did not know the doll was quite so porous.
Why would a man come to see you?
Hysteria is very rare in a man, but then again, he is an artist. Why don't you perhaps take Lottie for a walk so you don't chance running into him?
I think the baby is still hungry. I shall go and find Elizabeth.
Yes.
Ah, lovely. Oh, how odd. Ah, thank
I
you.
shall see you tomorrow. I do think daily sessions are best at this early stage. Feel free to use the grounds.
Excellent. Thank you, Doctor.
Of course. See you tomorrow then.
Yes, of course.
Hello,
Hello.
Mrs. Gibbings.
You are the doctor's wife.
I am. Miss Solem has met here. What a rare treat to make your acquaintance.
Leonard Irving.
Oh, pleased to meet you, Mr.
And you.
So old-fashioned.
I'm afraid everyone goes around these days saying I'm a modern man, I'm a modern woman. It's the modern age after all, but I detest modernity.
Do you? How contrary. Are you a very contrary person?
Some might say so.
Well, the cut of your coat is very old-fashioned.
Ah, it's my father's old coat. I can't be bothered with the cut of a coat. I throw him whatever he leaves for rags.
Is the lamp too much for your eyes?
The light has troubled me greatly these past 9 months, but I feel better presently.
Just in case.
When Edison's light first came out, they were all saying, my God, light like the sunset of an Italian autumn. No smoke, no odour, a light without flame, without danger. But to me, Mrs. Gibbings, a light without flame isn't divine. A light without flame is like...
Like what?
I cannot say.
Why not?
I hardly know you. I would defend your feminine sensibilities.
No need to be shy around me. I just blurt anything out.
Well then, a light without flame is like having relations with the prostitute. No flame of love or desire, only the outer trappings of the act. And without love, without the mental quickening, the eyes, the blood, without the heart or intellect. Bodies are meat and bone and livers and technicalities.
Well, perhaps you were right. Perhaps you ought not to have said.
Not that I've known any prostitutes
I was
intimately. It's only a
implying,
metaphor.
Of course.
I love this time of afternoon, when the world is becoming dark and you can see outside your window, lights in the neighboring windows coming on, one yellow, one almost white, little squares of light, other people's lives, sheltered against the night. Ridiculous, isn't it? To have so much hope, to think a little square can blot out the darkness, and then look, another comes on.
Yes. 1. Then 2.
And look over there, another window lit, golden. The rest of the house dark, like an incomplete painting. Oh, I love incomplete paintings. Why do painters always insist upon finishing paintings? It's unaccountable. Life is not like that. And the ones Michelangelo never finished, do you know them? Ghosts of light hovering in the background. Have you ever seen Virgin with Child and the Angels?
Oh, I have never been to Italy.
Oh, you must go. And upon arrival, you must go directly to see that painting. The incomplete lines of God. They cannot be filled in. They'd be too beautiful. They would shock the senses. And so they're almost there. Women or angels exchanging confidences, coming into being. A woman who is 2/3 done is nearer to God. A young woman on the verge of knowing herself as the most attractive thing to man on this earth for this very reason.
You think so?
Oh, yes.
Oh, excuse me.
Hello. Am I early? Oh, I think that I am early.
I have just made the acquaintance of Mr. Irving.
Oh, pleased to meet you, but you are in the dark. So.
I must go. 1,000 paintings. That is to say, 1,000 apologies. And my rudeness for leaving so suddenly. I now have 1,000 paintings to make. A bolt from the blue. I must order a new canvas. Several, immediately. Goodbye.
What an interesting young man.
Yes.
An artist.
Ooh, indeed.
Mrs. Daltrey, I have been wanting to speak with you ever since our adventure with the hat pin. You said you saw flashes of light when my husband treats you, and then you got drowsy and wanted to sleep. Well, I had such different sensations, I wonder if it could be the same instrument at all. You see, I didn't feel the least bit drowsy. In fact, I was overcome with the desire to walk, or run, or climb a tree. How could one device cause such opposite reactions? Perhaps it's because I am well and you are ill.
I don't know. I have just been so worried that your husband might find out and be upset with us and stop the treatment.
I do not care. I am determined to use the device again and unlock the mystery as to why it makes you drowsy and me very excited. Why? I feel like a scientist.
Mrs. Daldry. Catherine, we're ready for you in the next room.
Yes, doctor.
Looking well, looking well. Your appetite has improved, no?
I dare say it has.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry, I forgot my scarf. I left in such a state.
I am so glad you have returned. I am all by myself. Mrs. Daldry has gone in for electrical therapy, and I, the wife, have been left to my own devices, as it were.
I'm not sure what you mean, Mrs. Gibbons.
Have some more tea.
Oh, I don't want to impose.
You'll have to wait until I have finished before you can retrieve your scarf. Sit. Sugar?
Oh, no, thank you. Sugar is for women and small fat boys. Lovely.
Fine weather we're having for November.
Yes, though dark.
Yes, it is dark.
Dark so early. Dark and the trees are so tall and naked. I think November is the tallest month because when the trees have lost their leaves, they look so much taller. Tall in a lonely way. Yes, November is a tall month. October's a round month. April is a skinny month.
Do stop talking of the seasons.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, we talk, and we surround ourselves with little objects, statuettes, to give ourselves a home of permanency, as if with enough heavy objects, perhaps the world will not shatter into a million pieces, and perhaps the house will not fly away. But I experienced something the other day, Mr. Irving. Something to shatter a statuette, to shatter an elephant. Here is my riddle. What is something that can put a man to death and also bring him back to life again? Will you answer?
Well, that is easy.
Is it?
Love.
No. Electricity.
Very good, Mrs. Daldry.
She ate again and now she's sleeping. I never had a girl. When she eats so quietly, so politely, not like my boys who are ravenous.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You are the baby's nurse.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't see you. I would not have... Yes, I am the baby's nurse.
I should like to paint you nursing the baby.
That would
A
not
Madonna
be-
for our times.
Sir.
Oh, dear, have I displeased you?
You'll have to excuse us, Elizabeth. The men in my household are very unorthodox. Artists, scientists don't care at all about convention, do they?
Since your husband has been treating me, I feel full of the most wild and creative energies. I could paint all night. Everything's so full of beauty. You, Elizabeth, are beautiful and you ought to be in a painting.
I've never had a man in the room when I've nursed a baby. My husband, of course, has seen me nurse my own, but that is different.
I would pay you handsomely. And during your regular work hours, just triple the salary, pretend I'm not there.
Triple the salary?
Yes, I hardly imagine she pays you very much.
Mr. Irving, really?
I will pay you $10 an hour for your services.
I will sit for you, but do not tell my husband, and please disguise my features. And so that nothing would seem improper, I'd like Mrs. Givings to sit in the room with us.
You must have a beautiful dress to wear, or a robe, or have you a dressing gown we can borrow?
I have nothing.
It must be something to allow the breast out so that she may give suck.
Oh, hello, Leo. I don't like that my patients be scheduled, so they meet up. I am so sorry.
I'd forgotten my scarf.
Oh, go right ahead and get it. We're finished.
Hello.
There. Hello, Mr. Daldry.
I will just fetch my scarf.
You are looking well, Mrs. Daldry. You looked well this morning, but you have even more color in your cheeks now.
Isn't the improvement amazing?
Indeed. I think she might be ready to stop treatment.
Oh, I think that would be premature. I'm not sure yet.
But you're much improved.
Yes.
You are a magician, Doctor.
I'd forgotten my scarf.
Leo Irving?
Dick Daldry.
Pleased to meet you.
I'm so glad you found your scarf. It's snowing outside.
Oh, is it?
In November.
Oh, indeed. I brought your Macintosh, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Not at all.
I will follow you out. We can all walk together.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
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 What is it?
I think we ought to let Elizabeth go.
Whatever for? Lottie is blooming and rosy and positively fat.
I think Elizabeth is getting too attached to the baby.
You want her to give love to the baby, but not too much love.
Precisely.
I shall never understand when.
I am still leaking bits of gray milk. It is though my body is crying.
Darling, you'll be back to normal in no time, and it's good for you to give up nursing. We can have another child more quickly.
Another child? She won't even look at me.
Who?
The baby. She won't smile at me. I am not a good mother. I do nothing. I pour the tea. I wish you to use your instrument on me.
Darling, it is for women who are ill. It would probably have no effect on you at all as you're perfectly healthy.
I am not healthy. I am restless and excitable, and I cry at the smallest things. You help countless other women, but me, your wife, you pat on the head.
What is the matter?
She knows where to find comfort and love, and it is not with me.
You are her mother.
Oh, by name only. Milk is comfort, and milk is love. How will she ever learn to love me?
You do seem to be suffering, perhaps from the excess fluid of milk. I could perhaps try the treatment on you, although it makes me nervous. Just don't go around telling your friends. It mustn't get out in the scientific community that I am treating my own wife.
Now?
I haven't any other patients for an hour.
Well, now that you have given way, I feel quite frightened.
There's nothing to be frightened of, darling. Come along. I'll show you. First, you undress to your underthings. I shall turn around.
Do all women undress to their underthings?
It is medicine, my love.
Oh, I can't do this bit without your help.
Sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Don't be alarmed. Just lie down and relax. I Are you quite comfortable?
Yes?
Electricity is not to be feared. It is harnessed from nature. I remember when I was a child, I was stroking the cat's back one day and was startled to see sparks rising up out of her fur. My father said, "This is nothing but electricity, the same thing you see on the trees in a storm." My mother seemed alarmed. "Stop stroking the cat. You could start a fire." I kept stroking the cat. I thought, is nature a cat? And if so, who strokes its back? God?
And what did you determine?
Natural law? Is that too much pressure?
Nope. Oh! Oh! Kiss me, darling, kiss me!
Afterwards.
No, kiss me now! Kiss me and hold the instrument there, just there at the same time!
Darling, that would be absolutely inappropriate!
I've been wanting to kiss someone like this!
This is what I feared! In a sick woman, the device restores balance, but in a healthy woman, it just makes you excitable, and perhaps even causes some perverse kind of onanism.
What is an onanism?
I am relieved you do not know. I am afraid the experiment was not a success, dear.
And I say it was a success! Kiss me now! Oh. You are inadequate. This is inadequate. Oh!
I made a terrible mistake bringing you into the operating theater. Men of science should never mix their family lives with their medical lives. It was my mistake, my darling, and we shall both forget about it. Now, I want you to go upstairs and take a nap.
No!
Catherine.
I shall take a walk. Will you help me on with this? Oh, for God's sakes, why are there so many buttons?
There are quite a lot of buttons.
Oh, I could walk all night in the snow.
Is it snowing out?
You didn't notice the first snow? Oh my God. When I first met you, and I was nothing more than a girl, I wrote my name in the snow outside your window. I would have done anything for you to notice me. You were older and seemed so wise and so calm and so marvelously indifferent to me. I don't know if you ever saw it. It melted. And no matter, if you did see it, all you would see was a natural substance.
Catherine.
I'm afraid you've done up the buttons wrong.
Sorry.
It was unnecessary, childish, a name in the snow. But a gift must be unnecessary for it to be good, but you wanted it to be useful. Oh, you would never say, well, it's useless, but you got it from me alone, and so it will never melt. It will exist for all time. Oh, how ridiculous I sound. My hat, please.
I made a very bad mistake today, and I am sorry.
Goodbye.
Take your wrap. It's cold! Did you really write your name in this snow? Annie! Annie! Annie, could you write this down? I have suddenly thought up a new invention. A vibrator made out of water. The healing power of water married to a great electrical force could be, my goodness, revolutionary. The patient would experience a calming effect from the water, even as she has a release of pressure, revitalizing circulation. It could be used on patients who are prone to excitability, like my wife. And no, that is to say, we will need 20 feet of copper piping as soon as possible. Could you order from the hardware store right away?
Yes, sir.
How glad I am that I found you.
And are you? You might have caught a terrible fever making snow angels without your coat. You look like a fallen angel.
Did I? Oh, I am cold, but the cold feels marvelous. I feel awake and my skin is tingling.
I must paint you like this.
Oh. Leo, Mr. Irving, I must ask you. I know it is not proper, but I do not care. I do not care at all. When you receive treatment from my husband, where does he put it? The instrument.
I do not think he'd like me to say. He'd only speak of it in Latin or in Greek.
Oh, well, I only speak English, so can you show me on my person?
No. I may be an artist, but I'm also a gentleman.
There is no such thing. So which is it, Mr. Irving? Do you dare be an artist or a gentleman?
Look at the snow out the window. Do you not think, Mrs. Givings, that the snow is always kind? Because it has to fall slowly to meet the ground slowly, or the eyelash slowly, and things that meet each other slowly are kind.
You are changing the subject.
Indeed I am.
Meet me slowly, like snow. I cannot bear it.
Wait, Annie, we'll need 10 copper valves. Had a good walk, I trust?
I discovered your wife in the snow with no coat, and insisted upon walking her home to warm her up before she caught a fever.
Then you did me a great service, Mr. Irving.
Goodbye, Dr. Givings. Mrs. Givings.
Bye. Was your hand on his cheek?
It was.
I see.
And do you mind very much?
It is odd. For some husbands, such things would end in a screaming match, or even in death. One hand on a cheek. It has come to mean an absolute thing. The end of a book, one of those dreadful Mrs. Bovary books. But how can it be absolute when there are so many shades and degrees of love? Lady novelists would like for it to be a tragedy, because that would mean that the affair mattered terribly, but it doesn't. It needn't.
The writer of Madame Bovary was not a woman.
He was French, which is much the same thing.
You dare make a joke about the French in this moment? Most men would be pale with rage.
Pale with rage, exactly, in a sentimental novel. My point is, this is not the end of the book. You made a mistake, that's all. The treatment I gave you made you excitable. It was my fault. A hand on a cheek. These are muscles, skin, facts. It needn't mean that one is preferred absolutely, or that one isn't loved. So why then jealousy? My darling, I don't mind.
Oh. I had hoped you would mind.
Catherine.
Do not talk to me tonight. Do not talk to me tomorrow. I shall take breakfast in my room.
revolution. I'll call it nursing Madonna. How can there be so few Madonnas where the baby Jesus actually gives suck?
Well, I suppose we ought to think of him feeding us, not the other way around.
Elizabeth, could we just... Don't look at it, it's not done yet.
Sorry?
Elizabeth, just... There. There's nothing as peaceful as nursing a baby. The baby and mother become one, do they not? You seem nervous, Mrs. Givings.
My husband will be home from the club any minute, and he will not approve of this, not at all.
I don't understand why. Your husband is a man who understands science. Why, then he must understand nature.
I'm not supposed to talk with these patients, let alone arrange for them to see the bare breasts of the help in my living room?
Leave behind the stranglehold of convention and loosen your corset, Mrs. Givings. You'll breathe much better.
She's done eating. She's fallen asleep.
I can take the baby.
I need her there for Elizabeth's hands.
Oh. What day is it anyway?
Wednesday?
That's right. Wednesday. It's Wednesday only yesterday. It's almost never Friday, and it is never ever Tuesday. But always Wednesday, I find, smack in the middle of the week, with nothing to look forward to except for the charwoman coming to clean out the ashes. Are you done with your hands yet?
Hands are difficult. You'd think there'd be 5 quick lines, but they've personality as intimate as faces. Elizabeth's hands, for instance, they're fine hands with long fingers that remind me of tapered candles, a person one has loved. That is what I wish to express in my paintings, the memory of the movement, even though they appear to be unmoving on canvas.
Well, have you loved many women, Mr. Irving? Do you remember many hands?
I've loved enough women to know how to paint. If I loved fewer, I'd be an illustrator. If I loved more, I'd be a poet.
A poet's required to love many women.
Yes, love animates every line.
Well, what about the rest of us mere mortals? How many times must we fall in love in order to make it through the
Well,
week?
there's also the love of God, the love of children, the love of country.
Indeed.
I must look at her hands.
You are early for your appointment, Mr. Irving.
Yes.
I shall wash up and see you in the operating theater. Good afternoon, Elizabeth. Catherine.
Oh, God. It's all right. As you can see, he's a man of science. Nothing shocks or upsets him.
Well, you talk of that as if it's a crime.
No.
What a capital husband you have. Completely beyond the dictates of modern society. I love your husband.
Shall I take the baby to the nursery?
Thank you, Elizabeth. I shall put the paintings away. Mr. Irving, go to your appointment.
Thank you, Elizabeth. You're nothing short of divine. Do you mind terribly being seen?
Who minds being seen?
Who?
Only criminals, I suppose.
Indeed.
Good day, Mr. Irving.
Mrs. Givings?
No need to undress on the way. We can be quick about it. Just lower your trousers. It seems that you and my wife are becoming acquainted.
A bit.
I see. She's a wonderful woman, is she not?
Yes.
I am a lucky man. And your health? It's much improved, no?
Yes, in fact, I'm painting again. I can't stop painting.
Oh, how wonderful. I am so glad for you. Well, I do think you're cured now. We can stop the treatments.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. I believe you saved my life. Oh, I'm suddenly feeling quite drowsy.
Take a nap. Good day.
Mr. and Mrs. Daltrey.
Hello.
Mrs. Daltrey, I have not visited with you since it was raining.
And I have not seen you since you were wet. Have you been well? You look well, very well.
Thank you.
You know, I'm so glad you're done with that odious nursing business. A woman like you should be enjoying yourself, not shut up in the nursery all day.
Will you do me a favor, my dear, and take a walk of the grounds before my appointment? I wish to speak with Mrs. Gibbons about my needlework before Dr. Gibbons arrives, and I fear we will bore you.
Oh, I've not much to say on the subject of needlework. I'll see you later, darling. Mrs. Gibbons?
Oh, take a left turn by the fountain. There is a winter garden there. I planted it myself.
Oh, I didn't know anything grew in November.
Oh, yes. Junipers and periwinkles
Oh,
and...
it's all the same to me, but if you planted it, Mrs. Gibbons, I'm sure it's lovely.
I wanted to speak with you.
Come, sit. You have taken up needlework?
What? No, I hate needlework.
Oh.
I've been thinking about what you said about having two experiences at the same event. Oh, I wish very much, I don't know how to say this, but if we both go back into the operating theater, and if we held the instrument just so, and then you held it, and then I held it, and then we
I put it on to sleep in her pram. I'm sorry about that.
Never mind, Elizabeth. You may go. Oh, Elizabeth, before you go, perhaps you could settle a question. Mrs. Daldry and I have had two different experiences of the very same event. Have you ever had this sensation? Either you have shivers all over your body and you feel like running and your feet get very hot like you're dancing on the devil's coals.
Or you see unaccountable patterns of light, electricity under your eyelids, your heart races, and then your legs feel very weak as though you cannot walk.
Or your face gets suddenly hot like a strange sunburn.
Or you get red splotches down one side of your entire body, a strange rash here.
And the feeling of burning as though you get no relief and your mouth is very dry, so you try to lick your lips, and then you find yourself pulling a really ugly face expression, and so you try to cover your face with your hands.
And then suddenly a great outpouring of liquid and the sheets are very wet, although not an unpleasant sensation, just a little frightening.
Is that a riddle?
Has this ever happened to you?
I don't know. The sensations are so contradictory. Does anything unite them?
Many of them are down below.
Oh, I see. Well, the things you describe, some would seem to be the sensations that an invalid would have, or someone with a horrible fever. But others sound like sensations that women might have when they're having relations with their husbands. I'm sorry, perhaps you were joking. Perhaps I should not have said.
With their husbands?
How interesting.
Those sensations you were describing, they're not from having relations with your husband?
No. Good God, no.
No. I don't know what I would do if I ever felt those things in the presence of my husband. Why, I'd be so embarrassed to have to leave the room immediately. As it is, my husband is very, considerate. When he comes to my room at night, I am asleep. When he tells me to keep my eyes shut, I do. So I feel only the darkness. And then the pain. I lie very still. I cannot see his face. My husband has always been very considerate.
Of course.
But the instrument produces a very different kind of pain, does it not? Very different from the other kind of pain. With my husband...
Ladies,
Well, goodbye then.
I will see you home. I can finish the painting. I have a good enough likeness in my studio.
I can walk home myself.
Nonsense, I will walk you home.
No, thank you, Mr. Irving.
Please, you did me a great service today. At least I see that I get you home.
Well, don't go just yet.
I'll just see Elizabeth home. Oh, the painting.
I'll get the painting. I'll see you soon.
I'm afraid my treatments are at an end. I'm cured.
That's impossible.
We'll see each other soon. Never fear. Goodbye, Catherine. Dr. Gibbings, farewell.
Mrs. Daldry, I did not hear you arrive. I'll just let you get ready. What can you be thinking of? Do you mean to embarrass me?
I thought it was only the scene in a book to you, or a fact.
Do you think it's escaped my notice that you haven't breakfasted with me for 5 days running?
Breakfast is not a very romantic meal, so I decided to skip it.
Is every meal supposed to be romantic?
I didn't enjoy the silence of you reading your scientific journal while I ate my toast.
Oh, so you prefer grand passions over toast? My God, woman, we are married. A man needs to be quiet at least once a day.
Oh, so here I am then! Quiet! Quiet as a mouse!
Yes, you went your guard. Am I interrupting something?
We were just discussing breakfast. You know, in Italy, they hardly eat breakfast. Just a small bit of sweet cracker dipped in a very strong coffee. They have something light to recover from the night of great passions they spent. It's best to skip breakfast and go straight to lunch, where the silence isn't quite so loud. No, the silence isn't quite so deafening at lunch.
How do you know about biscotti?
Mr. Irving told me.
I see.
I know nothing about biscotti. I like a big breakfast, ham, eggs, sausage. A big breakfast is important for one's energy, Mrs. Gibbings. I once heard it said that small women should eat large animals for breakfast. You should eat some meat for breakfast, some bacon, or some sausage.
Oh, Mr. Daldry, I have so much energy I don't need to borrow from a cow. I have so much energy I don't know what to do with it, you see?
We are ready for you, Doctor.
Will you excuse me?
Of course.
Dr. Gibbings,
Yes?
is something wrong?
Oh, I am terribly sorry. I am distracted.
Mrs. Gibbings, I don't always know how to converse. In a drawing room, I
Mr. Daldry,
Here, is this better?
what can you be thinking of?
But you said about your energies. I thought that I could...
You insult me.
But you have no idea how much I've longed for a woman of energy. My wife is so tired, so tired all the time.
Do not speak ill of your wife in my presence. Go, please.
Would you have the decency to tell Mrs. Daldry I'll send a carriage for her?
It is taking longer with you of late. Perhaps I should build a new instrument with a few more beats per minute. Perhaps the body gets accustomed to so many beats per minute and then requires more. There, nothing. Is it past 3 minutes?
Perhaps if Annie tried.
Yes, Annie, why don't you give it a go? I will attend to some business. My God! You are acting the part of a mad woman in a play, listening at doors.
You offer to her what you deny to me.
It is medicine, my love.
And I say it isn't.
I thought I heard a slap.
It was nothing. Nothing at all. Well, your work is done. So you can go to the club and argue about the alternating current over and above the direct current.
And you? Do you favor alternating or direct?
Direct, from here to here.
Oh, interesting. I would have thought alternating more complicated, changing directions dozens of times per second, faces slapped by nobody, Italian breakfast, etc. I'll be at the club.
Annie, have you ever used the instrument upon yourself?
Oh, no. For I've never been ill. I've scarcely been ill a day in my life. Perhaps a bit of a stomach bug, but nothing mental. I'm sound as a horse. I was raised on the farm.
I could hold it for you if you like. It's not unpleasant, and perhaps it would be interesting for you to experience it.
I do not think the doctor would like that.
Oh, Mr. Gibbings has gone to the club, and Mr. Daldry has also gone. He has sent a carriage for you. They have both said their goodbyes.
Thank you, Mrs. Gibbings.
Well, I could.
I should get dressed.
Hey, I can help you clean up.
Oh, no. Thank you, Mrs. Gibbings. It's quite easy to clean up.
Okay. I shall leave you.
Okay. Well then.
I suppose we could continue with my Greek lesson.
Oh, yes. I believe we left off with the early Greek philosophers. Thales thought that the whole world was suspended on water, floated there, and he thought that all magnets had souls because they moved towards one another.
I can well believe magnets have souls. When I look into dark eyes like magnets, I am unaccountably moved. You have very dark eyes like magnets. Has any man ever told you so?
No man has told me much aside from pass the clamp.
Well, they should, Annie. They really should. So, whatever happened to Thales?
He never married. His mother asked him about it one day, and he said, "It's too early." When she asked him about it again 10 years later, he said, "It's too late."
And you? Why have you never married?
One day I woke up, and it was too late.
I see. Annie, I've been thinking. I wonder whether I could purchase one of the instruments for home use. The doctor is so busy, and I really feel I am getting much better. When I wake up in the morning, I feel hopeful, and my color is returning. I'd only use it as required. For example, when I'm having trouble falling asleep, as I often do, and can't very well call the doctor past midnight.
Well, I do not know about its safety for home use because of the potential for electrocution, but I will ask the doctor. You know, he is very open to invention.
I'd be too shy to ask, so.
I will ask for you.
Well, goodbye then, Annie.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Annie.
For what?
For the Greek lesson. Are you quite all right, Mrs. Gibbons? Your coloring is off.
I am not myself.
Is there anything I can do?
No, thank you. Mrs. Daltrey, did you believe in love from a young age?
Yes.
And what did you think it would be like?
I thought it would be like never wanting for anything, being surrounded and lifted up, like resting on water for eternity.
And is it what you have found in your marriage?
There have been moments of rest, but as it turns out, the earth rests on air and not water, and the air can feel very insubstantial at times, even though it is holding you up invisibly.
Yes.
May I play her piano?
Please do. Excuse me.
How strange.
Oh dear.
I guess I better not ever see you again.
I suppose not.
Goodbye then. Annie?
Goodbye.
Annie!
What is sad song she played. I believe it has made me tear up a little.
Oh, don't go. Dr. Givings has gone to the club, and I'm all by myself. I have very little company.
I'm afraid I really have to go.
What is the matter?
She played a sad song. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Elizabeth, I was not expecting you.
Mrs. Gibbons, I came to tell you that today was my last day working for you. My husband does not like me gone so much. He wants me home with my own children.
But you cannot leave. Whatever will we do without you?
She is almost ready for cow's milk. Or a little bit of rice porridge.
I suppose. I was not only thinking of the food. But why today? I do not understand.
Mr. Irving insisted on walking me home. He was not inappropriate, but he kept hold of my arm. He paid me a large sum of money for the sitting and walked me up to my front door.
Oh, dear.
My husband was home. My husband saw him and me and the painting.
Oh, was your husband very angry about the painting?
The painting? No. He cried when he saw the painting. It's your hands, he said. Mr. Irving must be a good painter. It's hard to paint hands. But he does not want me working here, not anymore.
Yes, of course. I understand.
No, you don't. I'll just say goodbye to Lottie. I've grown fond of her.
She is in the nursery. She is happy, healthy, and fat, all thanks to you. Elizabeth, how old was Henry Douglas when he died?
12 weeks.
And what did he die of?
Cholera.
I am sorry.
Thank you.
However, do you go on after? I would die of sorrow in your place.
Die of sorrow? A mother of two cannot die of sorrow.
But however do you go on after?
My mother told me to pray each day, ever since I was a little girl, to pray that you borrow everything, everyone you love, from God. That way, your heart doesn't break when you have to give your son or your mother or your husband back to God. I prayed, Jesus, let me be humble. I borrowed my child. I borrowed my husband. I borrowed my own life from you, God. But he felt like mine, not God's. He felt like mine more than anything. God must have this huge, horrible cabinet. All the babies who are returned. And all those babies inside. They're all crying, even with God himself to rock them to sleep. Still, they want their mothers. So when I began to feel something for this baby, for your baby, I thought, no, take her back, God. When I first met her, all I could think is she is alive and Henry is not. I had all of this milk. I wished it would dry up. Just get through the year. I thought your milk will dry up and you will forget. But the more healthy your baby got, the more dead my baby became. I thought of her like a tick. I thought, fill her up and then pop! You would see the blood of my Henry underneath. But she seemed so grateful for the milk. Sometimes I hated her for it. But then she would look at me, she would give me this look. I do not know what to call it if it is not called love. I hope every day that you keep her close to you, and that you remember the blood that her milk was made from. The blood of my son, my Henry. Goodbye, Mrs. Gibbons.
Bye, Elizabeth. Thank you. You have made a terrible mess of things with Elizabeth.
I know, I'm sorry. I've come to say goodbye. I'm going to Paris.
When?
Tomorrow.
Take me with you.
Are you out of your mind?
Are you surprised? You were the one who seduced me.
What?
All that talk of women being 2/3 done, it was me you were talking of, was it not?
I was talking of paintings.
No one has ever spoken to me of those things before, of beauty, of prostitutes, my God, of Italy. How could I have misunderstood your intentions? I am in love with you.
Oh, dear Catherine, I'm afraid I cannot love you. If there's any type of woman of whom I'm attracted to, it is towards women with doe eyes, and your eyes are more thin. The light bounces off them rather than into them, and I cannot see your soul hovering here where I'd like to. Your soul is locked somewhere inside your body, and I cannot see it. Another man could possibly bring your soul outside your eyes, but it isn't me, I'm afraid. I do care for you, though.
Well, try. Try to bring my soul out to here. Look into my eyes. See, are you taking another woman with you?
No, I'm going alone. Don't you see? It is Elizabeth who I love.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I understand nothing. I see nothing. Elizabeth?
Yes, and she doesn't care for me. I told her of my affections on our walk, and she slapped me. No, I'm going to Paris alone. I'm married to my solitude.
I can be your solitude. I'll be quiet as a mouse. I understand solitude. I am very lonely.
I do not understand your loneliness, Mrs. Gibbings. You have a child, a husband, a home.
Yes, I know, and I am very ungrateful, and I am sure God will punish me.
No. You do not love me. You only think you do. You love your husband. He is a good man. Goodbye, Catherine.
Elizabeth is in the nursery if you wish to say goodbye.
I cannot bear to see her. Just give her this for me, will you? Come visit me in Paris. I promise you, you'll love the paintings.
My dear, what on earth are you doing?
I'm all alone.
You're not alone. I'm here. Have you been using this instrument on yourself?
I am so lonely. Everyone is gone. Elizabeth is gone, and Leo is gone, and you are gone. Always at the club or in the next room. Always in the next room with the door locked. You can see that women can push a button themselves.
Darling.
When you treat the other women and Leo with the instrument, does it feel like love? When you touch them there, is it like love?
No! I only want them to feel better.
And when you married me, did you want to love me or did you want to make me feel better?
The doctor wants to make everyone feel better.
But did you want to love me?
Yes, and you with your hand on other men's faces. Do you love them? Do you love Mr. Irving?
A little?
I have a strange feeling in my stomach.
What is it?
My eyes feel funny and my stomach feels jumpy. I do believe I'm jealous.
Give up your operating theater, darling.
And do what instead?
Love me. Love me for your job.
All day long.
All day long. I have heard that some women do not need the vibrating instrument in order to have a paroxysm. Their relations with their husbands can have much the same effect. Love me for your job.
I would like to love you.
Would you?
Yes. But I have not known how.
You said that when my hand was on another man's cheek that there are all types and shades of love. But what is this particular way in which you love me? What color and what temperature? And do not say that you are my wife, I am your husband.
I do not have the words.
Please try.
That is why we have poets to classify all the degrees of love. It is for scientists to classify the maladies arising from the want of it.
Try.
Do not make fun of me. Do you promise?
I promise.
I bless thee, temporomandibular joint. I bless thee, buccal artery and nerve. I bless thee, depressa anguli oris. I bless thee, zygomatic arch. I bless thee, temporalis fascia. I bless thee, Catherine.
Undress me.
Here?
No, away from the machine. In the garden. Undress me there.
You wish to undress in the garden in December?
Yes, and do not call me impractical. Our whole future happiness depends upon it. Undress me. Don't close your eyes. Look at me.
The street lamps are coming on. People will see us.
No one will see us. They're not electric yet. Thank God something still flickers. Are you cold?
No? Are you cold?
No. How beautiful you are. Your body. I have never before seen this bit here under the covers, or this bit here. I have felt this shadow here, but I have never seen it. How it curves.
I am jealous. I am embarrassed.
Don't be.
Catherine.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God.